Panama City, Panama. On a clear September morning, the quiet waters of the Panama Canal carried an unusual sight. The sleek grey silhouette of a US Navy destroyer easing toward the docks of Balboa Port. Cameras captured the moment the USS Stockdale DDG-106, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, came alongside the pier, a powerful reminder of America's naval reach and strategic interest in the Western Hemisphere. The destroyer, named after Vice Admiral James B. Stockdale, one of the US Navy's most decorated officers and a Vietnam War hero, is part of a fleet designed for multi-mission capability. Its arrival in Panama City comes against the backdrop of heightened maritime tensions, shifting US security strategies, and renewed debates over the militarization of border defense. The USS Stockdale is no ordinary vessel. Commissioned in 2009, it carries the legacy of Admiral Stockdale, a Medal of Honor recipient who endured years as a prisoner of war. Today, the destroyer embodies the modern projection of American military power, armed with Aegis radar systems, vertical launch missile cells, torpedoes, and advanced electronic warfare suites. Its presence in Panama is therefore not just logistical, but deeply symbolic. As military analysts note, whenever the United States deploys an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer outside of its typical operational routes, it signals a message. These ships are built for layered defense, intercepting hostile aircraft, engaging enemy submarines, and neutralizing missile threats. Bringing one into the Caribbean basin reflects both reassurance to partners and a reminder to rivals. Panama is no random port of call. The Panama Canal, one of the most strategically vital waterways on Earth, carries an estimated 5% of global maritime trade. Any disruption here, whether by piracy, sabotage, or geopolitical rivalry, would send shockwaves across the global economy. For Washington, the canal's security is not just Panama's concern, but a core US interest. In 2025, as the transcript notes, the USS Stockdale was dispatched to the US Northern Command Area. The official explanation was to bolster maritime defense and reinforce border security. This may sound routine, but context is crucial. In recent years, both drug trafficking networks and great power naval movements have escalated across the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. China's increasing maritime footprint in Latin America, combined with Russia's outreach in Venezuela and Cuba, has heightened American concerns. Thus, docking a destroyer in Panama City functions on multiple levels: logistics, deterrence, and diplomacy. Footage from AFP TV shows the destroyer resting calmly at the pier. Sailors move briskly across the deck, while the Panamanian skyline looms in the background. From a distance, the ship looks like a steel fortress, bristling with antennas, missile hatches, and the signature angled superstructure designed for radar stealth. Reporters on site noted the subdued nature of the arrival. There was no grand ceremony, no marching band, just the quiet hum of machinery and the watchful eyes of both American sailors and Panamanian port authorities. Yet, the absence of pomp does not diminish the significance. Sometimes, in naval affairs, the silence says more than speeches. The US Northern Command, NORTHCOM, responsible for homeland defense, oversees operations stretching from the Arctic down to the Caribbean. While its focus traditionally includes air defense and counter-drug operations, the arrival of the USS Stockdale under its banner reflects a broader mission. Military spokespeople emphasize the dual role: deterrence and cooperation. On one hand, the destroyer is ready to counter potential threats, from smuggling vessels armed with advanced weaponry to hostile state actors probing US borders. On the other, its presence reassures regional partners, including Panama, of America's continued commitment to safeguarding maritime trade. A senior naval analyst explained that placing a destroyer like the USS Stockdale in Panama demonstrates layered defense thinking. It bridges homeland security with global power projection, reminding allies and adversaries that the US can operate seamlessly across oceans and borders. For Panama, hosting a US warship carries sensitivities. Since the 1999 handover of the canal from US to Panamanian control, the Central American nation has walked a careful line, asserting sovereignty while maintaining strong ties with Washington. The sight of an American destroyer docking in Panama City inevitably sparks debates. Is it reassurance of partnership or a reminder of dependency? Officials in Panama offered no immediate public statements regarding the arrival. Yet behind the scenes, the collaboration between the Panamanian Maritime Authority and the US Navy underscores a quiet consensus. Canal security is too important to gamble with. 2025 has been marked by a series of US military postures that suggest recalibration. From deploying additional assets to the Pacific to reinforcing NATO commitments in Europe, Washington has leaned heavily on its Navy as the most flexible tool of power projection. Against this backdrop, the USS Stockdale's mission in Panama is not isolated, but part of a wider chessboard. As one retired admiral noted, wherever the United States positions its Arleigh Burke destroyers, it is effectively planting a flag of readiness. These are not symbolic vessels. They are frontline warships. The images, though mute, are revealing. They capture the destroyer's imposing hull, lined with defensive armaments, the activity on deck, sailors coordinating logistics as fuel trucks and supply vehicles move nearby, the skyline of Panama City, a backdrop that situates the warship not in hostile waters, but at a global crossroads of commerce. The silence of the video invites interpretation. No sirens, no speeches, just steel against water, and the subtle message that presence itself is power. The transcript makes clear that the destroyer was sent not just for distant patrols, but specifically to aid in maritime defense and border security. This is striking. Border security, typically associated with land and air patrols, now explicitly includes naval assets. It reflects a shift in thinking. Threats can come not just from migrants or smugglers, but from complex networks using maritime routes. Analysts point out that the line between counter-narcotics missions and great power deterrence has blurred. A ship like the USS Stockdale, capable of intercepting ballistic missiles, may seem excessive for chasing smugglers. But in today's geopolitical climate, dual roles are the new normal. The ship's name, honoring Vice Admiral James B. Stockdale, carries symbolic weight. Stockdale, remembered not only for his Medal of Honor, but also his philosophical writings, epitomized resilience under captivity. Associating his legacy with a mission tied to defense of borders and commerce sends a layered message: endurance, vigilance, and readiness. As one naval historian put it, when a destroyer like the Stockdale docks abroad, it is not just a hull and crew arriving. It is the projection of history, values, and commitments. The destroyer's docking also resonates beyond Panama. In neighboring Colombia, US naval presence strengthens counter-drug coordination. In Venezuela, however, it may be read as provocation, especially amid Caracas's alignment with Moscow. Across the Caribbean, smaller nations see such deployments as stabilizers, balancing their vulnerabilities against larger powers' ambitions. Thus, the USS Stockdale becomes more than a ship in port. It becomes a regional signal. This event, while captured in a few silent images, encapsulates a much bigger narrative. In an age where maritime choke points define global economics and naval power underpins diplomacy, even a routine docking becomes newsworthy. It highlights America's reliance on sea power, the strategic indispensability of Panama, the evolving nature of border security. In the end, the USS Stockdale's quiet arrival in Panama City is not just about steel meeting dock. It is about the choreography of strategy, history, and geopolitics. Though no grand speeches accompanied the docking, the imagery itself delivered the message: presence matters, partnerships matter. And in 2025, America continues to use its Navy as the clearest language of both. Or, as one US naval official succinctly remarked, our ships speak louder than our words.